Today's the day that the Integra's B20V Tech, the B16 A3 head, is going on to the B20 Z2. So, flip you around and show you what I'm at. Currently throwing my new ARP head studs in there. The old ARP head studs had stretched some, sadly, so they couldn't be reused. And what I am doing now is slowly putting them in, and that requires the L19s. That's what these are. You can tell they're all the same length. Some other B series ones will have two longer ones, which go in the two centers, but the L19s are just kind of a universal B series for Honda. What I'm doing now is taking some of the fastener assembly lube, trying to find a way to set you up so you can see what I'm doing, but I like to put a little blob on there, and then I take this and I kind of spread it around at the bottom of the threads. Kind of get it, doesn't need to be super even, just get it on there. I like personally to be able to see it going all the way around. This stuff is dirty. If you get it on your hands and whatnot and you touch something, you are making a mess. But that, and then ARP recommends screwing these in by hand, which I would recommend as well. I like to use the Allen wrench, which I do consider this by hand. It's 3/16. You just kind of get them spinning in there, you know. And then once you kind of get to that point where it's a little tight, yes, I do have my block sitting on a pillow in my living room, just because I do not have an engine stand in my apartment. But I do have lots of car parts in the living room. And just kind of spin that around in there until you get to about the end. We're getting close. About here. I have about 3 fingers on there, so I'm really not doing more than what you probably be able to do twisting by hand. And we've got 4 out of the 10 in there. So let's get the rest in. Okay, as you can see, we've got all 10 of our head studs in there, hand tight. Ready to throw in some dowels in there. Can't forget those with the B20V Tech. Very important conversion dowels. Little pins that go in there. I'll show you in a second. But being that the head currently does not have cams in it, I do not have the motor sitting at top dead center or anything, and the pistons are about halfway down, so shouldn't have any issues with touching or clearances when the head goes on, just to be safe. And then kind of go from there. Alright, well, these are the dowels I'm talking about, used in VTEC swaps for LS or B20s, get the gist. And they go on the farthest outward holes on the exhaust side. Well, I now have my dowels installed. I'd recommend installing these before head studs. It's just a little easier. Sometimes you gotta give it some love taps with something soft on the back end to get it pop in there. They don't always go in the easiest, but you always want to make sure they're going in straight, of course. But now that those are in, we can go ahead, fit up our head gasket, take a look, see if there's any issues going on, and then possibly go ahead and throw this brand spanking new head basically in there. and get this thing looking more and more like a motor again. Alright guys, the head is indeed going on. Now, we got our exhaust intake side, and our exhaust go over there, so we're going to try our best to get this on there nice and square. Get our head studs going on. Oh, come on. Sometimes I don't get it the first try, but that's okay. And let's try again. Oh. Almost there, but it's nice to. Alright. More it on there evenly. Definitely a bit more of a challenge sometimes. Like to give it some taps. Make sure those dowels are fully seated. I would use a rubber mallet and give it some taps around the corners, but rubber mallet is at work and I am here. Dowel is seated there. Put that dowel on there as well. Looking pretty flush over here. All of our rivets are not in the way of nothing. So, I think we are ready to go ahead and start throwing our nuts on. You gotta lube up your ARP hardware. Actually, you gotta lube up any hardware for head studs. I haven't done it yet because it's a messy job and I'm probably going to do that on a hyperlapse. But before these go on there, I'm going to lube up a little bit of that inside, starting like the start of threads, just tiny little glob. And then the washers, heavy on each side. Those help keep heat down while you're tightening them down. I've also got some info from my work. Thankfully, we have a lot of resources for pretty much any vehicle, and that is going to be the way that I'm torquing these down. You've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's also similar, the same for a, I believe this is the B16 head, but you can see you got your 1, 2, crisscross, do it down good. So next up, I'll be tightening all of the nuts and washers down by hand, just using a regular socket and ratchet. After that, I'll be using a torque wrench and tightening to the first torque spec of 26 pounds. Now, after waiting a couple minutes, I'm going through and torquing them down to the second step of 55 foot-pounds. Alright, just doing a regular video for this last one. Waited maybe 10-15 minutes. ARP recommends waiting between each step, and they also recommend 3 steps for torquing down your head studs and nuts everything in between, you know. So that's what we do. As you torque, they're gonna heat up a little bit, and that's why. And now it's wishing me some luck trying to do this without this on an engine stand. Lady. Lady. Number 6. Now number 7. Number 8. I need number 9. Change sides. Nine. And last but not least, number 10. There's a workout for you. Our block set back up. Pretty square there. And that head is on. Well guys, that'll be it for tonight and most likely this video. So if you stuck around for the whole time, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Probably couldn't find anything better to do, could you? Because there's nothing better than just casually putting a motor together in your living room. So that's it guys, and I'll see you next time.